Hey, didn't do that thing. Hey, everyone. Thanks for joining me. Welcome to Beyond Film School, where I teach you all about the film industry. And today we are doing live film resume reviews. So let me know in the chat if you can hear me clearly. Oh my God, I hope so. I think I've settled and battled the problems with live streaming from this new apartment that I have. So, let me know in the chat if you were here. And of course, I had a few brave souls to volunteer their resume to be reviewed by me live. So here's the thing. What I want you to know is that I blanked out your information. Those of you that have done that have volunteered to get your resume reviewed. I blanked out your personal information, so no one's going to be like emailing you some crazy stuff and all that jazz. So hopefully no one's going to be bothering you. So know that first. But when I looked at these and downloaded them and edited them to make sure your information was out, I tried not to look at your format, your thing. So I'm trying to go into this as blind as possible and give you my honest reaction. But there was one. Tony, if you are watching this live, know that I was like, oof, we got some things to talk about when we get to your resume. I'm just saying I could not help see and react to your resume. Got a little coffee, and probably this is my third coffee for the day, so I'm kind of like I'm amped up. I'm ready to go. All right, so just to jump into this film resume, why I do film resume reviews, and then as you saw in the chat, I love doing this. Now, I think the one thing that I can really give to the film community is making sure that people have their film resume like ready to go, because so many people are just like, I remember making a resume and being like, what do I put? How does this, translate? Because when you're in college, you kind of are put into this like corporate world type of resume that, honestly is such a sucky format. Not to like, poo-poo any like college grads or anything like that. Like I went to college and I remember I got zero guidance, zero guidance on like what my resume should look like for the film industry. So it does tend to be a little bit different. And from what I've seen from the resume that I got, like I'm actually kind of like, all right, you guys like, there are some things that we should be talking about, but overall, like some of the resume tips that I have, like you definitely followed, and I love that. So I feel like I'm definitely helping. When I do resume reviews in my Set PA training course, this is like the best. So what I do in my training course is I correct everyone's resume. I keep that to myself, and then what we do is that we pass around and we switch resumes to make sure everyone can see everyone else's resume. And we do an open critique. And first of all, I do that because it is rare. It is so rare that you're going to see a resume of someone else's. Like you'll see definitely like, resume templates, what they should look like, but it's very rare when you can see everyone else's resume, right? And everyone's kind of like, they keep it to themselves. It's a very personal thing when it comes to the resume. It's almost like, am I doing the right thing? There's a little bit of self-consciousness that happens with your resume. So the fact that we open it up and we make it totally transparent so everyone can see what everyone else does, and the first impressions that a person will give, like, doesn't even have to be a person that's hiring you. The first impression that you get off a resume is like, if that person has that first impression, most likely 9 times out of 10, everyone in that group who is going to look at that resume is going to have the same first impression. So it's one of my favorite exercises to do. So I thought like maybe do a live review and like let's jump into looking at these resumes. Okay, my first resume is going to be Michael. So Michael, Michael, you're definitely on. So Michael has like a more traditional format, and I sort of use this in mine a little bit. Like I have like the same font, and I have like, you're using the left and right side of the page. So the one thing I'm going to say about this is that I can easily look at certain things and I can pick out information, which I really, really do love, okay? So the first thing I'm going to say is I don't know why you put your physical address. You do not need your physical address on your resume, so you should totally get that out of there. It's almost like a waste of a line or a waste of space. You don't need to put your physical address, especially with us in the film industry, because like, I mean, just because I live in New Jersey doesn't mean I can't take a job in Connecticut or Pennsylvania or, upstate where my parents live, or in New York, in Long Island. Because like people tend to travel wherever they work. So do not let them decide. Don't let the person hiring you decide where you and your commute is going to go. So I always just say eliminate the physical location entirely, because it's no one's business your physical location. It's no one's business where you live except for payroll, when they're sending you that money that you worked for. So physical location, definitely take that out. I blanked out the zip code, but Michael, what you put there. And I like how your phone number and your email is on the same line. Perfect. Some people like to break this up, and that kind of like utilizes too much space. So the next thing I'm going to kind of pick at is the fact that you have your education before your professional experience. Now, this is a huge mistake because your education does not matter. Does not matter when you have professional experience. Now, I'm not going to say it doesn't matter in the sense of like, I know people are very, very proud of like going to college, because going to college, first of all, and graduating college is like a feat in itself. It is hard, those 4 or 5 years or however many years, especially if you got your master's, and then like maybe you transferred schools and you probably spent way more time in college than you probably wanted to. So I understand that people are very, very proud of their, education, but the education has to go down at the bottom of the page. Like literally my education section is like all the way down at the bottom, and it's like 2 lines and that's it. Like I even stretch it because I studied abroad in Australia, so I just want to put that one little line in there, like, this is where I got my degree from, and I studied abroad in like 1 semester, because sometimes that can be a point of conversation. You never know. So you got to put that down on the bottom of your resume, especially if you have professional experience. Now, the flip side to that is if you have no professional experience, then you can put your education first. So definitely move down the education portion of this. I don't know if you really, like, I know that people in the regular world, and like regular people who are not in film really stress about putting your GPA on your resume. You don't need it. You're also wasting a line, especially if you need more space, and it kind of feels in your resume that you are like clawing for a little bit more space. So like if you got rid of your GPA, that's like 2 more lines in your resume right there that you can utilize. And especially when you're thinking about all this has to be on 1 page, like every line counts, every line matters. And to talk about 1 line also that you can get rid of is the LinkedIn link. Links make your resume look ugly. I'm going to say it right to you guys. Do not put links on your resumes. Please don't put links on your resumes. And not only does it make it ugly, but you should save those links for the email that you attach the resume to. Does that make sense? So you definitely should just make sure, like, in your signature to whoever you're emailing your resume to, though, that's the time that you can have all the links. Like, hey, my demo reel, my link, whatever, that's going to be in my signature below. Like, that you can check out the links below. Like, you don't need to have links on your resume at all. It's just ugly. It just doesn't belong there. And so, like, big proponent for, like, non-ugly things to be on resume. So definitely take that off for sure. So I'm going to jump into your professional experience. Now, the huge thing I noticed, and actually this is going to be the topic of my next video, where it's like number 1 mistake that I see on all resumes. And I'm glad you made it, because this is just going to point to something that definitely has to be corrected, is that you are telling me the company or the place that you worked first. You are bolding the fact that you worked for 20th Century Fox, Fox Entertainment, is in Invisible Ink, Sony Pictures. Like, I don't care about the company. I care about the position you held at that company. So you need to make sure that your position is going to be clear and like crystal clear what position you held and the experience you have, because highlighting the company is like, yeah, you want to make sure you have that, but it's not the end all be all, and that's not the reason why people are going to hire you. Like, hey, yeah, Sony Pictures, but then I was like an intern, and then like, okay, so what are you saying? Like, I worked at Sony Pictures and I was this big bad position. Okay, well, tell me the position first before you start telling me like, and you're bragging about the distribution company that happened to pick up that movie or that TV show or whatever. So definitely make sure your position is bolded instead of the company you worked for. Okay, so that's definitely like a big one for me. Like, let's see, theater projectionist and graduate assistant. Like, that sort of sounds like a work study thing. Michael, please correct me if I'm wrong, but like that sounds like something like, are you doing that current? Okay, so that's like your most current. Being a projectionist, I feel like that experience doesn't really relate to like production, right? It does, but it doesn't. It's definitely in the realm. Like, it's in the realm. I understand why you would put it, but you want to make sure on your resume that whatever job you're applying to. So for example, if I'm hiring you to be a set PA, I kind of don't care that you are a projectionist. And if you want to put that on your resume, it probably should be a different section of like work history or other jobs you did or something like that. Like, you're going to find a different category because that's not like related experience. It's professional experience, but not to the world of film production, if you understand what I'm saying. So I'm hoping that that definitely is clear to you. So you want to make sure that education goes to the bottom of your resume, that you are highlighting your position over the company that you worked for, because I know it's, you know, the glitz and glam of film production, but if you think about it this way, like, instead of bragging about the company you worked for, like, you are submitting to people who actually work in the industry who also know those big names. So it's like not, you know, it's not like a whoo, oh, they work for HBO or something like that. It's like, it's not like that, because it's like they work for HBO too probably at some point in their life. So definitely position first, 100%. So, okay, so assisted with set management, such as doing lockups with police when shooting on location, facilitated communication between departments and fulfilled cast and AD department needs. Take all that shit out. You don't need to, I know what a set production assistant does. And to be more specific, that sounds like an additional set PA. So you don't even need that. If you are applying to an AD, they know what you've done. You don't need to waste those 2 lines to tell me that's what you've done. Okay. So to be clear, you can totally just get rid of that. Let's see. Going on to the next line, invisible ink, set productions, again, like, you know, the positions definitely have to come first. Distributed, collected, and managed over 50 walkie-talkies. So that sounds like you were a walkie PA. So to be more specific, you definitely have to put in your position that you were a walkie PA. You were a walkie set PA, not just set production assistant. Because if you distributed, collected, managed over 50 walkies, and also you can just say walkies, you don't have to say walkie-talkies, you can just say you were a walkie PA. Because as soon as you tell me that you're a walkie PA on your resume, I'm going to understand exactly what that means and exactly what you did. Okay, so moving on to the next one. Also, I know I'm moving very, very fast, and I'm talking very fast because I have a lot of caffeine in my system. But like, I will keep this up, so in case you have to go back to your resume to look this over and be like, okay, what are the notes that she gave me on the resume? This will always be available for the replay. I'm not going to take this down because first of all, the sound is better and the picture and the lighting is way better. I figured out all the issues that were in my last live stream. If you guys were on that live stream, oh, I am sorry. Okay, back to the resume. Okay, moving down to Fox Entertainment, talent production assistant. Okay, so fulfilled cast needs. So that tells me, like, you're a cast PA, that's all you need to say. That's literally all you have to say. Like, again, like, you can get rid of those bullet points. And instead, I would probably just bullet the position that you held, instead of using the bullets as the responsibilities, because when you're applying to ADs, again, like, they know what a cast PA does. It depends, like, I know in LA it's a bit different than in New York. So in New York, it's kind of divided as the first team runner and the first team helper. And the first team runners usually at base camp, which usually equates to a base camp PA out in LA. It just depends, because I know I'm not an LA AD, I'm not an LA PA, I've never PA'd out there. I think I did like 1 day as a PA in LA, and it's a bit different. So if you were just a cast PA, just say, you know, whether, I think you want to make sure that you distinguish whether or not you were at base camp or you were on set, because those are two very different types of cast PAs. And in New York, it's definitely that, you know, that distinction for sure. Like, it's a first team runner or a first team helper. And the first team helper is going to be the one that's always on set, and the first team runner, you know, is back at base camp getting everyone ready, and then once everyone's ready, then they come to set. So, okay, 20th Century Fox. Okay, led and oversaw background actors. So, so set production assistant. So you have like a ton of experience, Michael, and like I would hire you as like, you know, I would definitely hire you because you have cast experience, you have the background experience, you have walkie experience, and you have additional PA experience. So your last one is going over, you know, background. So you were a background PA. Just say you were a background PA, and I know exactly what you did. So that over and over, kind of like that was a recurring theme in your resume, which is not bad at all. These are like all easy fixes for your resume. So the dates, you can keep the dates. It doesn't really hinder your format at all. Like, I can clearly see, I have no problems looking over your resume. It's just the responsibilities make it a little bit more cluttery, but I like how it's broken up. Like you change your format just slightly where it makes my eye go to different spots, and that's good because it invites my eyes to keep reading, and that's what you want. So screenwriting and filmmaking experience feature, I mean, we can keep that because that tells me like even though you don't have a personal statement, your screenwriting and filmmaking experience tells me what your goals are. And me as an AD, I like to hire people who kind of share their goals with me because I love set PAs who are trying to be AD. So I'm like, yes, come to the dark side, please. But if you're trying to be a writer or a director or whatever, that's okay too. As long as you're making your goals clear. And that section to me tells me what your goals are, and that's perfect. Skills and interests. Okay, so we got computer, you break it down to computer, language, instrument. Oh, look at you like playing the piano. First of all, I've been teaching myself piano for like a hot minute, and I've been like not practicing. So like this is just another like little notch where it's like, hey Amber, little nudge, get to practicing. Okay, so interest screenwriting, casting, and writing commercials. Why commercials specifically, Michael? This is very, very interesting. Commercials in particular, you like just. Well, that makes me wonder, and that would make you ask that I would ask you that question in the interview. I'd be like, why just commercials? I think overall this is a pretty good resume, and I wouldn't be turned off by this at all if I saw it in a pile of resumes. It definitely can be quicker to read. Just take out like the responsibilities, and then I'll just be like, boom, boom. Like it'll just come like way, way quicker to my brain. So the only thing that I would say that you're kind of missing is your soft skills. Like you have your computer, language, and instruments. Those are all hard skills. Soft skills, like leadership, communication, like I don't see anything like that. Like I, personality-wise, would have trouble figuring out who you are as a person. I sort of can get like a grasp of who you are as a person, but like not so much. So I would definitely, tap into like deep inside, figure out like what your soft skills are, and at least put like a section on like maybe the other side of the skills and interests, like soft skills of some sort. Definitely would want to see that. But the fact that you're like, for me, like you play instruments and you have you were interested in writing, that tells me that you were more creative type. Obviously, you're not just like you're trying to be an AD in like your logistics, or you're just all about organization. So you definitely have a creative side that I like that I'm seeing from your resume. So Michael, let me know if you have any questions about that before I move on to the next resume. And I'm gonna get a tissue. I'll be right back, guys. Okay, totally back. All right. So, Michael, these are like pretty good resumes. So, I'm gonna go to the chat really quick before we move on to the next resume. Hi, Carlos. Hi, Michael. Hi, Joshua. And then Sean, I definitely see you on here. Here, an AD that after 8 years in the job from PA to first AD took 4 years off, and now I'm ready to come back. I've been watching your AD videos to motivate myself. Thank you so much for watching my videos. I feel like the AD videos are, sorry, I'm like getting distracted by like, I have 2 chat boxes up right now, so I'm gonna like totally just hide this one really quick. I mean, first of all, thanks for watching my videos. I really appreciate it, because that's why I make the AD videos. I feel like there's videos that talk about what an AD does, but how to make an AD better, like, I don't think those videos exist, so that's why I make them. So I'm glad that I can motivate you, Carlos. Thank you so much. And Michael, yes, you can buy me a coffee. I will put that link in the chat. I believe it is a paypal.me/beyondfilmschool. Let me know if that works. And also, feel free, you can resend it, and I can be like, hey, this looks so much better. Like, because I know people like to edit their resume and then be like, hey, is this okay? Like, they want just a little bit of confirmation of like you went in the right direction. So yeah, definitely, buy me a coffee for sure, because I'm definitely staying caffeinated. All right, let's move on to the next resume. Now, this is Beth. Now, this person, I don't know if it's a guy or a girl. I have no idea. I couldn't, I can't tell sometimes from names. It doesn't really matter. But they sent me 2 resumes. And I was like, 2 resumes? How dare you send me 2 resumes? But actually, let me find. Oh gosh, where's my? Hold on 1 second. I just want to make sure that link is actually good. Okay. All right. There we go. I think that one's probably a better way to go. There we go. Okay, so they sent me 2 resumes, and I picked the one that I liked better, just based off first 2-second glance. I was like, hey, this one. So the other resume that Beth had pictures on it, which I have never seen pictures. There are some people who like to put pictures of themselves. I've only had literally one person put a picture of themselves on their resume, and she was like one of my top trainees that I had in my Set PA class, and it worked. It just sometimes you can break the rules with your resume, and it's totally fine. So, but in this instance, they put 2 kind of big pictures on the resume, and I kind of was like, I can't really see what's happening, and it just didn't fit that well. So I went with this one, and this format is pretty good because I like how it's divided up, right? You want to make sure that you don't have your resume so perfect where it has such a uniform look where it just all becomes this block of things you just can't. Something's got to break it up to your eye. Something's got to make it pop, right? So I do like how the format is split into 2, and I'm just a big fan of this template. Student filmmaker, I don't know how I feel about that. I just don't know how I feel about that. I understand the motivation behind it, but that's very vague. And while you guys are watching this, definitely put your opinion about what your first impression, because it's only going to help the person who makes this resume. So my first impression of this, it's it's kind of hard for me to actually get a first impression actually. So I do love how your name is nice and big, but also you put your contact information all the way at the bottom. And for me, I feel like that's huge no, because if they're trying to contact you or hire you, don't make it harder for them to find your information. Does that make sense to everybody? You want to make sure you make it as easy as possible for whoever is trying to hire you to actually contact you and hire you. And if they have to sift through your resume and be like, oh, where is it again? Where is it again? Now, we're only talking about a few seconds here, maybe, right? But put yourself in their shoes. And you were looking at 30 resumes, and you had to reach out for maybe 5 to 10 candidates to interview, right? All those seconds add up, and that makes for a very, very long day. So just make it as easy as possible for anyone that's looking at your resume. Definitely your email was on the bottom, and I couldn't find your phone number anywhere. So I'm kind of just want to make sure, and I don't think I've ever had to tell anyone this, to make sure you have your phone number on your resume. This is actually the first time I've actually had to say put your phone number on there somewhere. So you want to make sure that your email and your phone number are super easy to find no matter what. Okay. Also, so the background and profile, I do like how it is a paragraph. It breaks up the format a little bit, so I'm going to be more forgiving about it being a little bit too long. I have a passion for building conversations. In the last 5 years of my career, I have developed my communication skills on a business scale. I've developed my communication skills. I really kind of nitpick with everyone's sentences, because I'm what are you really trying to say? Because you really want to try to avoid the fluff, because some people try to make certain things sound a little bit more fancier than it really is, and you're just trying to I'm going to use big words in a long sentence to trim the fat. I feel I have developed my communication skills on a business scale. If anyone has any can shed any light on what you think that means, please, because I think I could be oh, okay, I get it. Communication in business. Okay, moving on. Okay, I don't want to be because sometimes what'll happen is when I look at resumes, I will obsess over this one thing and I'm super confused about. I'm what? Okay, so Joshua, that's a really good one. Be more specific with the job title, remove the student. Exactly, right? It makes me feel you want to make sure in your resume you're reaching that professional level. To say you're a student filmmaker kind of like closes the space in on you so you can't expand. Does that make sense? Like, no need for GPA. The QR code is taking up a lot of space for sure. Thanks, Joshua, for your like first impression, because these are all things that I am thinking, and I haven't even gone to the QR code yet because I'm obsessing over that one line. Passion projects give the wrong vibe. I would say independent projects for sure. You're exactly right. I agree with everything that Josh is saying for sure. So gray color and black color font. Yo, I think like Joshua, like if me and you could be like correcting resume, like you could like, I could hire you to correct resumes for me, because me and you are on the same wavelength here. Like the black and gray, like it's just kind of, it is inconsistent format, but I understand like if it were a color, if the gray were like a blue or like a purple or something that like makes the category pop out a little bit more, it has to stand out way more than the black. Because right now the black bold lettering and the font is like popping way more than your categories. And it's kind of like, I'm not sure, I think you want to like reverse the two a little bit maybe or something. But definitely like, I don't normally see gray as the accent color on resumes, so I definitely think like using a real color, like a real color. I mean, gray is a color, but I'm not trying to, like it's got to be like a more standout color for sure. So I definitely agree with that as well. The gray and black kind of like gives you like a weird vibe about it. So being a film student broadened my creative perspective and understanding the technical and business aspects of filmmaking. The knowledge I have learned in my career and college catalyzed my appreciation of the individuality of both industries. At first glance, I was like, yeah, sure, this profile, like, background is totally fine, and I appreciate it, but that tells me that you're not telling me a direction. Like, you are not telling me really anything about you that, like, hey, I learned a lot. I'm a film student and I learned a lot. That's what I get from that paragraph. And I feel like maybe I'm being kind of harsh here, but you want to make sure if you're going to put a paragraph on your resume that you are saying something like hard, like you're like, I want to do this. I have these skills and I'm trying to do this. You know, like you really got to be like really, I don't know, like for me, this is like, yeah, I'm in film. I'm learning some stuff. That's what it feels like to me. And I feel like you just got to be more concrete on this and like, say who you are and what you want in this type of like profile, okay? Notable skills: camera operation, lighting, shot listing, story development, video editing, social media marketing. All, like, I accept all those skills, totally fine. Software proficiency, like all those. Facebook pages, is that like software? I feel like if you put anything as far as social media, like, and you already mentioned that you have social media marketing, so you don't, like, wait, unless Facebook Pages is a different software, which I don't believe it is. So anything like social media wise, I would just take out. So take that out. Like if it's not like a software program, then don't put it in that category. I think that the Facebook Pages doesn't belong there. Like I know what you mean. Like you are, like I understand because I go through Facebook Pages too, but it's not exactly a software. It still falls under social media. So yeah, let's get rid of that. Character. I do love how you tell me some hard skills and then you tell me some soft skills. Adaptable, creative, critical thinking, communicator, like you gotta, communicator's too vague. Like I don't know why I would accept communication more so than communicator. Does that make me sound a little weird? Like I don't know, like that to me makes me sound like communicator. Like I get, we all communicate. Do we do it well? Not everyone does it well. I will say that. Not everyone's going to be a good communicator. So I would just make sure that you are decisive, right? And you are saying you're a decision maker, but also like in your resume, it tells me that you're not, because that's the vibe that I'm getting. Like you're very like even keel and you're like, you're just going to go with the flow. And I don't think that's a good vibe unless that really is your personality. So I'm hoping, gosh, like I feel like I'm tearing Beth apart. I'm so sorry. Oh my God. Okay, so decision maker and open to criticism. I do like that one because that one I don't see a lot on a resume. So I love how you are like, hey, I'm open to feedback, you know, so I do appreciate that. So I feel so bad that I'm like tearing this whole like one side apart, but I do like how it's split and like the effort has been made and I appreciate that, but it's also easy for me to read. But also when you make something easy to read, you have to make it worth it. You have to make it worth reading. You have to have like concrete, like very like just, you know, stick the landing, guys. Okay, now we're going to move on to work experience. Does it bother anybody else? Okay, does it bother anybody else that it looks like on this page the category work experience is higher than the name? Because the name definitely has to be moved up a little bit, and that has to be like brought down. It bothers me quite a bit that the work experience category is like higher than the name, just slightly, but I can see it and it bothers me. On-set production assistant. Let's see. Like, can't you just say set PA? I don't know. You don't need the extra words. You don't need the extra words at all. Like, just put set PA. Like, save the space. Like, on-set production, like, you don't need to spell out production assistant, because if you're sending your resume to other people in the film industry, like, they know what a PA is. It's not like you're sending your, like, resume to, like, the medical field and being like, oh, were you a physician's assistant? Like, you know what I mean? So just, like, shorten that to set PA, because, like, an office PA is not a set PA, right? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, you don't need to say on set. So just put set PA, just to simplify this a little bit. Okay, so we supported the assistant director on production requirements, delivered messages to varying departments on set, delivered messages to well, yeah, okay. You are laying that information, that's right, but you don't need to say that because we all know what set PAs do. Okay, manage staff logistics, food and service arrangement. Okay, so staff logistics, food and service arrangements, that you help with catering, right? Is that what, like, we gotta, like, you don't need fancy words. Like, yeah, so you assisted with catering setup. That's what I'm thinking that you're saying you did. I think a lot of that could just be taken out. Take those bullets out, and you can just say set PA. Literally, that's all you need. Okay, moving on to the next one. Project 8 projects. Like, I think the one thing I'm missing is the type of project it is. Is this like a... Like, sorry, I'm making some weird faces, guys. I'm sorry. These are like my thinking faces. Jesus Christ. Okay, but you guys get what I'm saying here, right? Like, you don't need those bullet points in there, but I think with Michael's resume, the one thing that I didn't mention, that maybe I should just go back to it. Did they tell me the type of project it was, right? Yeah, so you told me it was season 1, season 2. Right, okay, sour, okay, but... Right. Okay. So if I'm looking back at Michael's resume, and the one thing I'm seeing is that, like, season 1, season 2, that tells me right away that's a TV show. Totally get that. The other ones, I'm like, you want to just make sure that you clarify what type of thing it is, because if it's a short film, music video, commercial, feature film, you want to make sure that's in there somewhere. And I think because I didn't notice it on his, I who cares, right? If I didn't notice it, that's okay, because I was like, hey, I'd hire you. They would be, it's okay. But you want to make sure that you put the type of thing that it is that you're working on. So interacted with directors and talents as an on-set clapper, communicated with talents on their locations, assisted with gaffing vans for crew members. Still, I think all those are definitely, Trevor, sorry, I will try not to get distracted by the chat. I will totally get back to the chat with this. Okay. I just think that some of those you don't need. Okay, so she's telling me that, or they're telling me that it's a music video. Good. And I think it kind of goes without saying, when it's a music video, it's more indie, so you're going to be doing a lot more things. So I think I'm more forgiving with the responsibilities, since this is these are indie projects. I think gaffing vans for crew members, like, that's something, like, if you're just starting out and you're like a new PA, I'm like, okay, you've gaffed vans. Great. Because a lot of people are like, what the fuck is gaffing vans? Okay, and then you put camera operator, live performance. That's kind of a big deal. So there are some, okay, in passion projects, right. So Josh, I believe you said this earlier, where it's like passion projects, maybe you put, like, independent. Like, and I think all of this, could fall under independent, I believe. Music video. Is this the next one? Is this, and you are a director of photography and the marketing head? I'm sorry. If your goal is trying to sell yourself as a director of photography, don't put that you are the marketing head. Like, only put the things that pertain to the position you are trying to apply to. And I should bring this up because a lot of people, when they first get out of college or when they're first entering the film industry, they start to just put everything on there. Like, for example, and I did the same thing. I definitely did the same thing when I first moved to New York because I had editing experience, I had camera experience, I was a set PA, like I was a sound person for a hot minute. So, and I put everything on there. And the problem is that like you submit that to like a particular job and they're like, what? Like, oh, this has nothing to do with the job you're applying for. So you want to make sure the information that's on your resume pertains to the job you're applying for. So if you are you're trying to do more creative, like marketing head is creative, but not, it's so different. The worlds are so different. Either you want to be in marketing or you want to be a director of photography. Does that make sense? You have to pick one. So when you make another resume, and maybe you are trying to get a marketing job, that's when you would put the marketing head on there for sure. Okay, so this one, I guess I maybe spending too much time on this resume, but I mean, the credits are okay. Some of this kind of bleeds together where I don't want to read it, and that's not good. Like for me, I'm like, oh, I don't want to look at this resume anymore. And if I get that feeling, that tells me your format is not stimulating my brain in some way. So, and this is like some real basic, like human brain type natural shit that's happening in my head, right? So if I'm like, I just want to hurry up and get to the bottom of the resume and like move on to the next, you're going to end up in the no pile. So there's something about this format. Like I was fine when I was on the left-hand side. But when I got to the right-hand side, like I don't want to keep reading because I think maybe the gray. I think it is the gray, right? It's got to be like how it's light colored and I don't know what it is, but oh man, this is a tough review. And it's like, these ones are really hard for me to review because it's like, it's not horrible, right? But it's not that horrible where I can be like, this can totally change. And it's like somewhere in the middle where all the subtle changes will make a huge difference in your resume. Definitely the QR code, it's gotta go. Gotta go. Like I said in the last resume for Michael's resume, if you have any links that, want to, your website, your portfolio, any like LinkedIn profiles, all those have to be in, the email that you're sending your resume that's attached to it, right? So all that stuff's got to just be in the email. Like take that out. Like, I mean, points for creativity, and that shows me that you're at least with the times and you're like, you know how to do social media and like all that stuff, but like, it just doesn't belong in your resume. Like it's not horrible, but it does take up a lot of space. Yeah, I think the vote is out. I think the vote's in and we got to get rid of the QR code. Academic highlights, right. Josh, you're definitely right with, just say it's education. I agree. But you're just saying, like, you're saying it's a highlight, but all you're saying is, like, what you did, what your GPA was when you are expected to graduate. Which, yeah, I agree. Highlights usually means, like, awards or things that are just, like, like what achievements. Sorry, I was like, what was the word? So yeah, awards, achievements of some sort would be academic highlights. So definitely just put education for sure. There's no need to put academic highlights. I mean, I get what's happening here. You're trying to be creative. I understand, but I think there's so much fluff that I just don't want to get through this resume, which is kind of like we started off real good, then we got to this. I'm kind of actually confused on what you're trying to do. So just keep that in mind, the position you're trying to apply for, make sure that your resume is tailored to whatever that position is. So, matter of fact, let me go back to the email that they sent me to kind of go over, all right, let's see. 2 versions. So this is your internship application. Okay, so, internship application. So if you are trying to send this for an internship, first of all, I have to know what the internship is for. I'm not really sure what the internship is, what company it's for, but if I knew that, I could probably give you better feedback on what the profile in the background, maybe that pertains a little bit more to the internship, the company that you're applying to. So I just feel like we're not hitting all the right points here because it just has to be tailored to whoever you are applying for. So whatever company that is, just make sure you're checking back and be like, does this like speak to the company that I'm trying to work for, right? So we're going to be emailing a little bit more. Okay, just going to go to the chat to like catch up here. Let's see. Oh no, it's not updating. Let me see. I'm going to take this out. I'm going to put it back in. Sorry, guys. Okay. Hopefully it updates. I don't know if it's going to update. All right. So, so Josh, Canva is frowned upon. Canva, really? So I didn't know that. I don't use Canva at all, Josh. So if we want to get into that, Canva, I'm not really sure what, why it's frowned upon, but like, please enlighten me because I don't use it at all. Canva is almost like maybe, I mean, before we answer that, I think Canva, it's just not, it's so user friendly that I think anyone can use it. Right? So it's not like Photoshop, where Photoshop actually is a skill that you have to like master, right? So I think maybe that's why it would be frowned upon, because it's like Canva's just maybe too easy to, but I mean, people definitely use Canva all the time. I mean, I guess I wouldn't dock anybody for using Canva, but I mean, if there's other people out there, like maybe it might be a thing, especially among editors and graphic designers, because it is very, very entry level. Okay, right. So I'm definitely going like line by line here, guys. So I try not to read the next one, which is really weird. But yeah, so it's like very entry level program. That explains that. Do you think an AD show reel would work better than a resume? An AD show reel? I don't even utter those words, Josh. I do not. Okay, it's funny that you say that. That this show reel, right, for ADs. I think for one first AD position, someone asked me for my reel, and I was like, but I'm a first AD. Do you want like BTS of me running the set? Like what? Like, because if I tell you I was an AD on The Equalizer, and if you knew the show of The Equalizer, you know that would be an action show, right? It's a lot of action, a lot of fight sequences, a lot of car stunts. So you know that as an AD, if I'm on that show as an AD, then it's like I'm dealing with those elements, right? So I think it's just a matter of the genre of the show that would tell producers what type of AD level I'm at. So a show reel, like, I do not want that to become a thing, because I do not want to worry about a reel. I already have a resume, I have a website, I have my IMDb. I don't want to make a show reel if I'm like just trying to get AD work. I don't think it would be better than a resume. Like, I don't want to watch something. I'd rather look at a resume for 30 seconds than watch a show reel for 3 minutes. That's just me. Could totally be, I don't know, maybe I'm a snot. I have no idea. Right. It's bad to be that high. Oh, yes. So Trevor, these resumes were submitted, literally I put the post up yesterday. I was like, hey guys, we're going to do a free resume review. Only catch is that you're going to have to do a live stream. And normally I do my live streams on Sunday afternoons, but my sister's 40th birthday is this weekend. So I'm going up to Buffalo, and I'm not going to be, here to do a live stream. So I was like, you know what? I think today we have to do it tomorrow. Like yesterday when I put the post up, I'm like, we have to do it tomorrow. So everyone sent me their resumes last night, and this was last minute, quick. No one made a resume to do this resume review. And if you did, you did it in record time. So God bless. So yeah, everyone put these resumes in yesterday. So I'm gonna highlight should just be education, of course. It's yeah, so Josh, I totally agree. It's like using a movie maker, right? There's no movie that I'm there's no thing where I'm gonna be I used iMovie to edit this thing if I was an editor or something like that. All right, we're gonna hop into the next resume now. Whew, okay, so full disclosure, first thing we gotta talk about, Tony, if you're on this live stream, please let me know. We gotta talk about this because I like a lot of things about your resume. I like a ton of things on your resume, okay? I don't like that it was 2 pages. Sorry. Bad news bears, guys. Don't waste your time with the second page. If your information doesn't fit on 1 page, don't waste your time with the second page, because I am not going to get to it. I am not wasting my time with a second page. Are you crazy? So, first things first, that is the number 1 rule. Do not go past 1 page. People who are hiring and looking at hundreds of resumes, I have been there. I have hired teams of interns. I have hired a bunch of PAs. And if you have 2 pages, I'm just I already feel exhausted. And if your resume gives me a negative feeling, I am like you don't want to give the person who's trying to hire you a negative emotion when you give them your resume. And 2 pages definitely will give me overwhelm and if I'm looking to staff my show. So, okay. We're gonna go to the front page. We're gonna like, I will revisit this because the education's on there and that's fine. But man, second page, big no. So Trevor, just to answer your question, it was on my community page. So I mean, try, like, maybe if you guys want, like, I can do this like once a month in my live streams or whatever, because if it helps, and as long as I'm helping like the new generation of filmmakers or just filmmakers in general or whoever's trying to work on set, the film crew around the world, like, I am more than happy to do this again. So if this is something you want me to do again, for sure, let me know. Okay, so back to Tony. All right, so the first thing I do love is her use of color. I am a big fan of a person's use of color on their resume. Love it. I am here for it. I love it. Now, I don't use it on mine because for some reason, the format that I use, I cannot figure out how to use color, and it just maybe doesn't speak to my personality as much as it just works for other people. So, like, my favorite color is black, so I don't know how I'm going to implement a certain color on my resume. As you know, that my background, if you watch my videos, my backgrounds are black and my shirt is black. So shooting black on black, it's like, just so you know, it's super challenging. So I just feel like I've conquered lighting when it comes to black on black. But okay, so back to Tony's resume. So, okay, so we have, that line, there's like that, so she has a line with her name, right? So she has her name, then the line, and then this weird, awkward space. I don't know if anyone feels that is awkward, but for me, it's kind of awkward, right? And then we go into the professional summary. I am a big fan of the line underneath certain categories. I'm okay with it, but for some reason, like, I feel like there's got to be something underneath your name, and if it wasn't for the right side of your resume, like, your contact info would go there, right? Your name and your email and number would go there. I don't know. That's how I feel. It's like that's what my gut is telling me, right? So your professional statement: energetic and professional production assistant, versatile in navigating demanding movie and television sets, comfortable working with actors, producers, camera crews, and directors, self-motivated with a consistent history of achieving targeted goals while maintaining a positive and efficient environment. Few things I like about this, and there are a few things I don't like about this. So I love the fact that she said energetic and professional. I feel like Tony and me, we would vibe on set. We would be vibing, like, it'd be great. Okay, so versatile in navigating demanding movie and television sets. Like, I'm okay with that sentence. Don't hate it, because to me, it's like, this is the full awareness that she has. That's like, set life is hard, y'all. Set life is hard, and like, I like that she recognizes that and she's fully aware of that. And it's kind of like, listen, like, I can say positive in this demanding environment. So that's my next thing, is comfortable working with all these people. Like, I don't know if I need that. Comfortable working with blah, 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 blah. Like, at this point, you have a lot of experience. Like, if you're not comfortable and you have to state that you're comfortable, like, take it out. Like, I don't think so. Self-motivated tells me, there's a thing about self-motivation. Self-motivated kind of tells me that you might go rogue, right? Does that make sense? Like, if self-motivated meaning, like, are you self-motivated in the sense of being able to complete your tasks without supervision? Or are you self-motivated to, like, go ahead and do something when you're not told to do it, or going and like breaking the rules of some type of way? So self-motivation can definitely go either way. So I would find some way to change that somehow. I don't know how anyone else feels about that, self-motivated. Self-motivated can be taken in a very negative context, so it just depends how we're using it. But luckily, she wraps it up with saying a positive and efficient environment. I do like how you use the word positive, because I just do not see this enough on resumes. Like, I love when someone's like, yo, I'm trying to have a positive environment. So I don't have that much wrong. Like, I don't have that many problems with your professional summary. Like, I don't mind it. I would definitely take out the comfortable working with actors, producers, working groups, and directors. Like, I think it's not needed, because it kind of goes without saying. Unless this was a point for you where you weren't comfortable and you grew into that position, like you don't, and if that is the case, you don't have to tell people that. Okay, so I that's what I think. I think if you took out that one sentence, it would be definitely shorter, which is what you want. You don't want your professional summary to be too long. Okay, so work history. I would label this experience, because if you are sending me this resume, this is more than your work history. This is your professional experience. You've been a set PA, key set, field PA, like you have done the things. So like work history is normally used for sections of your resume where you've had jobs that do not pertain to the industry, right? And this kind of is important for people who are like changing careers. So for example, if I have a lot of people who take my set PA course and they are like total professionals. They've been, in certain fields for like 10, 12 years, and then they want to be in film. And the biggest part for them is to highlight the certain skills they've gained in those positions that have nothing to do with film, and kind of like make sure it translates, like, hey, because I did this, I'd be good at doing this on a film set, right? So that usually is where work history comes into it, where it's like, hey, this is my work history. It's not my professional experience to the job I'm applying to, but work history is like, kind of like, this is what I've done in the past that you need to know that I've done this, but it's not, completely related. So work history, I would change to work experience, 100%, Tony. So set PA, I do like the fact that she highlights her position. This is what you want to do, folks. This is what you want to do. She understands the assignment. Okay. And then I would usually italicize the name of shows. That's just a general rule of thumb. Like you quote and italicize them. I like how you make it clear that it's a TV series and it's a reality TV show feature. Like it's very, very clear what type of project it was. And then you have the company, and that is great. And you put the location, and I think that's fine. And you also are putting your UPM first AD, second ADs in there, which is what you want to do when you have this much experience. You want to make sure that you are putting your ADs in there. You can probably take out the UPM because you're a set PA, you don't work closely with your UPM. The only time you put a UPM is when you're an AD, because ADs work closer with the UPM, and the UPM has a closer relationship with the UPM, right? So if you're a set PA, do not put your UPM. You can save the space, take it out. Definitely put your ADs, 100%. If you are only an additional set PA, put your key PA. And maybe you can put all the other ADs, but sometimes as an additional PA, your first AD might not even know who the hell you are. Okay, so if you think about it, like there might not be no point of putting people that don't know you, because what happens, like someone has this resume and they're like, oh, hey, so-and-so, hey, David, do you remember Tony? And he's gonna be like, who the fuck is Tony? You want to make sure you're putting your bosses there that actually worked with you and that you know that. So rule of thumb, when you're a set PA, you can put your key PA and then like your second, and the key second, and the first, just because sometimes you will know the first AD, but a lot of times you won't. It just depends on what type of set PA you were. So the one thing I am noticing is that you're not telling me what type of set PA you are. And you tell me that you're a key PA. So when you were a set PA, were you just an additional? Because you should tell me that if you were an additional. Or you should tell me that you were a background PA, or if you were a cast PA, or you're the walkie PA. Like you have to tell, or maybe you're the paperwork PA. I have no idea. So you have to tell me more than just set PA. Because unless these are like indies, which this looks like union work to me. I'm sorry, this looks like union work. Also, I've worked with Bruno. Once upon a time, Bruno Michaels, right? I worked with him on a Hallmark movie in Newburgh or something. This guy was crazy. But he liked me, so I was like, yeah, Bruno's great. And he was I think he was a first AD then. Yeah, so he was a first. So this is like, oh yeah, wow. That means he just became a first AD. Wow. So I like that you have your bosses for the set PA, key set PA, the field PA. Since it's reality TV, I guess that's the one that maybe doesn't fit here, I would say. I don't mind it, but also if it's reality, I would put it in a different category. I don't like you want to make sure you're stacking certain things, because reality TV is very different than music videos, TV series, features, and short films, right? It's a completely different, it's just so different. So I don't know, keep that in mind. That's probably my one note for that. Also, your dates, make it messy. This could be a little bit tighter. I'm not gonna lie. I like your resume, but it has to be a little bit tighter. So the first thing I would do is, Josh actually mentioned this, the width of the blue is too wide. 100% totally agree. It's got to be a little bit thinner. Give me like a half an inch more of white, right? And then you might have a little bit more room for those dates. Because look at this like giant blue hole that's happening on the right side of your resume. You have no information there, but then you're going to give me 2 pages? No, thank you. No, ma'am. Sorry. You got to utilize that space, like horizontally and vertically. You can't just go up and down. You got to go the other side of the resume, 100%. So you have this giant hole there that like no information is there, and you could be utilizing that somehow. So definitely like your, the dates, just make it a little bit tighter, or maybe move it to the other side. Also, like, fuck dates. If your dates are making your resume look ugly, you don't need dates, guys. You do not need dates. I don't put dates on my resume, and so many other people don't put them because you can tell. Like, for example, my resume, it's like DGA experience. Like, oh, Equalizer season 1, season 2, season 3. Like, Equalizer is a very, very new show. And they're in season 3 right now. So like if I put Equalizer season 1, like you kind of figure out when when that was, right? So I say like fuck dates. I don't know how anyone else feels about that. Please, I will open the floor for this debate if you have like issues about the dates, cuz I think when we are first taught how to make resumes, people obsess over the dates, and you don't need to, especially in the freelance world. Like, and like, I think of the gaps of employment also bother people. Like, you don't have to worry about that shit. Like, we all know in the film industry, we're all freelance. Okay? We're not working behind a desk and we're like trying to get that gig, trying to get that project, trying to get that short film, that music video. Like, okay, like we understand the grind that we all have to go through to get those jobs. And sometimes, like right now, I haven't worked in a hot minute. I'm day playing. What am I supposed to say on my resume? It ain't no one's business that I'm day playing right now. Like, I'm glad that I have a little bit of a free time. And I think it's just an American culture where it's like, you need to be working year round no matter what. It's like, well, why are you from this date to this date? Like, if they're asking you that in a film, like, culture, it's kind of like weird. It's so weird. Okay, tangent. Sorry, guys. Moving on to her resume. Okay, so let's see. I mean, overall, I like it. Me and Josh are in agreement. So, like, Josh is, like, my main person who, like, I'm gonna, like, go to. I'm like, you like this resume? I like this resume, too. It's great. There are minor things that we have to fix on this. I always love people's use of icons on the right side. I do love the use of color. Like I said, like, it's a little bit too wide. Give me a little bit more white on the left side. Skills. I like that you have a skills section. I always stress it. So many people are missing skills sections on their resume for sure. So your skills, excellent communication. Love to see it. I love to see a confident person. She's like, I got excellent communication skills. So love that. Problem solving, enthusiastic, adaptability, locking up sets. The problem I have with that is that I already know you've done it from your work experience, so you don't have to repeat yourself. Okay? So you can take that out. Crowd control, take that out. Escorting actors, take that out. Walkie etiquette, take it out. Because if you, like, your skills section and any other separate section should tell me something you haven't told me on your resume. Based on your work history, which should be called experience, based on your experience, you already have those skills, and I know you have them, especially if you're a key PA. If you don't have the skill to lock up sets and you're a key PA, there are some problems, okay? Like, there are going to be some major problems if you're a key PA and you don't know how to lock it up, okay? So take those out. Like, tell me something you haven't told me in the skills section. To remember that every section of your resume has to tell me something that I don't know about you. Each section. Remember that for each section. Okay, so we're going to move on to the second page of her resume. First of all, horrible that it's 2 pages. So cast assistant, set PA. Like, again, like, it's okay, but like, I don't like cast assistant. Like, that to me is very vague. Were you a personal assistant to an actor? Because that is very different than being a set PA. Because right now, like, for example, certain celebrities on big shows, like, they will have a PA assigned to them specifically. And like, it's kind of different than a personal assistant. So I probably need that to be clarified a little bit. Like, it seems kind of vague, but like, I'm really, really nitpicking here. So like, don't even, you can be like, yeah, fuck off, Amber. Like, it's fine. So your education, you can fit all this on one page, 100%. And I mean, I'm just suggesting, like, guys, call me crazy if you're watching this. Call me crazy. But I think that the education section could definitely fit in this big ass blue square here, like 100%. If she put her education section there, this resume would be like dope as fuck. So just, Tony, that's like my main, like, move the education section like right into that blue box, like 100%. Does not have to be, it's a separate section, so why not, right? Why not? So Tony, great resume. Loved it. Okay, we're gonna move on to the last resume. We're moving on to Sean. Sean, I hope you're still here. Okay. Oh yeah, let me go to the chat. Let's see. Okay, we talked about the width of the blue. Also, professional told me is a little long, right? We are in agreement, Josh. Also, if it was a bit shorter, everything would probably fit on one page. Facts. I like self-motivated because that tells me I don't have to give you a lot of input or direction. I agree, but also there's a dark side to that. Right? There's a dark side. I already talked about it, but there definitely is a dark side to that. So just, self-motivated, like I sort of, okay, I am just wondering if they sent it as not a PDF, if not the format could have changed. No. So everyone, I feel like I got some really good resumes to review on this live stream. I really did, because everyone did what I always suggest. And I was like, maybe they're like really taking my feedback here. I was amazed. Like, everyone had like a PDF. It's just, besides that, the whole 2 pages thing that Tony had. But yeah, everyone sent it as a PDF. No one sent me, because if anyone sent me a Word doc, I'd be like, guys, send me a PDF. Because if you don't send it as a PDF, Sean is right, where it's like, it totally messes up format. Like, do not send a Word doc. Oh my God. Don't send like some like Google Sheets, like Google Doc thing to me, because it's all going to be messed up on my phone, especially because I do look at resumes. Like, if I'm on set and people are sending me resumes, I will look on my phone. And the way to make sure that it stays the format you want it to is to make it a PDF, 100%. And there's like multiple ways to make it a PDF. If you don't know how to make a PDF, like, that's a whole other YouTube channel probably for that stuff. Okay, so Trevor, what if you have a huge gap of many years in time of relevant employment? Doesn't the year matter in that? No! Who cares? It's no one's business. Sorry. Like, okay, what are we talking like? So here's the thing, is that like, I don't put any dates on my resume because I don't want anyone to judge my success and or failure based on what they think I should be or where I should be in my life. Does that make sense? There is so much judgment that is placed on you based on how old you are, what year you graduated, and where you are in your life, and how many things you worked on at what time. So say, for example, Trevor, probably make this a little bit more personalized. Like, where are you? I think you maybe put in, maybe in the earlier in the chat, like, you walked away for a few years. How many years? I'm looking. No, that was Carlos. So Trevor, you got to give me a little bit more information. Like, let's give you personalized. Give me a little bit more information about your situation. Because, for example, for me, I was in camera for a couple years. Then I did a cruise ship for a couple years, which is like, I was still working with camera and editing, but like, it's not the film industry, right? And then I was in TV for a while, and that's broadcasting, which is not the film industry. Then I was in distribution for a year. That's distribution. That's not filmmaking, right? That's not like film production. So like, and those happen at like 2 years, 1 year. Like, I walked away for like a couple years, and it's like, none of those years matter, because here's the thing, is that like, you still have that experience. And I believe that it really doesn't matter. And I think that if you are putting information that is leading up to a question where they're going to question you about your gaps in employment, why put them, right? It's like, don't put incriminating evidence, right? Like, don't self-incriminate, I guess would be the thing. Like, I'm not going to invite people to be like, oh, hey, like, I worked here for 5 years, and then I walked away and I did real estate for 5 years, and I'm trying to get back in the industry. Like, no. Like, why would you, like, omission is not lying in this point, because you still have that accumulated experience. To me, that doesn't matter. Like, a filmmaker is a filmmaker is a filmmaker. If you're on set, like, for example, my niece, she's 19 now, and she's like, she's graduated high school. She doesn't want to do college. Not to shout out Cheyenne, that she'll probably never like watch this. I have no idea. But she is kind of in that period of like, where does she want to go? She might be going into like filming or whatever. But when she was younger, when she was like 15, 16, like she helped me on indie stuff, and I hired her as a PA, and she was great. Like she did way, way better. But that was also like 4 or 5 years ago. And she's like, I don't know if I could, what if I can't hack it on set? I'm like, girl, like you are leaps and bounds better than most PAs I work with. And she was like half their age. Okay. So it's like that, like it's a muscle memory as far as I'm concerned. You know what I mean? So Trevor, I don't think like you need to worry about that so much. And if you are self-conscious about revealing that about you, then don't put it on your resume. Like that's the simple solution. It's like, don't tell anybody. Because if they're not asking, like if you're not, giving them anything to judge you by as far as like negatively, then like, again, don't self-incriminate. That's I don't know if that helps you in any way. I hope it does. I'm not sure. But either way, I feel like you have to mold the story or the perception that you want of you. Like, you have to mold it. Like, don't let anyone else mold the vision or image of you more than yourself. I don't know if that makes sense. I'm hoping I'm making sense. I'm like, this caffeine's going to my brain right now. I don't know. But either way, you got to be your best advocate for yourself. And why put forward information that's going to, like, make you look negative to the person trying to hire you? That's all I'm saying. Okay, moving on to Sean. Moving on to my last resume here. And I can't believe I've been live streaming for like a whole hour. This is crazy, guys. Thank you. Again, thank you for joining me on this live stream. I'm very, very happy to do this resume review. And if anyone has any questions, for sure, put them in there. Film related, happy to take any of your film industry questions 100%. So, Sean, I like your name at the top of the page. Love it. Love how I don't know why, I like your font. I'm a real big fan of this font. Okay, so I like how you use icons. I don't know why, I'm a big fan of anything that like breaks up the letters of a resume. Like I love icons, even though I don't use them. I don't use them because I'm just like, I don't know why. It's just, I don't know. But I am a big fan of people who use them. Personal profile. Okay, let's get right into it. I am a highly creative professional with a honors degree. I don't think, is honors degree supposed to be, is the H and the D supposed to be capitalized? I don't think so, right? In film and documentary from GMIT. If you told me that somewhere in your resume, like why are you telling me that you got a degree in film, right? If you don't tell me what you already told me. Okay. Over the course of, you know how like an essay is when your English teacher's like, tell me what you're going to tell me, and then tell me, and then in your conclusion, tell me what you just told me. Don't do that on your resume. Don't do that on your resume. Okay. I have worked at entry level. Okay. I think that's the spelling mistake that you found, right? I've worked at entry level of the industry, from student films to national broadcasters to working alongside major award winners of a feature film. That personal profile, garbage. I'm sorry, I'm saying it. I don't like it because it doesn't tell me shit about you. Like, okay, like you told me a bunch of stuff that I can probably find in your resume down the line. So your personal profile, you gotta stick the landing, okay? Like, I'm a highly creative professional. You started off strong. You went into the degrees, and I've worked at entry level. Like, don't tell me about your work experience because you're gonna tell me in your the stuff later on in your resume, right? Like, I don't know. The personal profile definitely has to be like, tell me something about you that I don't know. Tell me about your goals. Where are you trying to go? Are you trying to apply for a certain position? Like, tell me what you want to do, right? The personal, okay, moving on. Professional development, pre-production, thorough knowledge of entire pre-production stages of film, documentary, live TV, production, on-set experience. You missed the S, so I have worked at entry. Okay, so that's not, it was just me how I was saying it. There wasn't a spelling error in your profile. So I think the spelling error, now I'm like obsessed with finding the spelling error now, Sean. You told me about it earlier. On-set experience in a multitude of departments at every experience level, from student shorts to live sports broadcasting and multi-million Euro feature film, adept knowledge of a multitude of camera systems, and oh my God, that's a lot. Okay, like, okay, so if you worked with a multitude of departments, you need to break down what projects they were, what position you held at them, like every line. Because you're telling me a whole bunch of fluff, and I'm like, I don't believe you because I don't see it. Does that make sense? Because post-production, working knowledge of post-production with experience using most major NLE softwares and experience in viral. Like, you have to get away from this paragraph format. I don't want to read all this. You know what I mean? If I'm hiring someone, I do not want to read this. And here's the problem with your resume is that you are putting like all this stuff in paragraph format in the prime spot of where you want like really good information. And because you're putting it in paragraph format, I don't want to read it. And I don't want to read the rest of your resume because of it. And this is like a bad intro. It's so bad. Sean, I'm really like tearing you apart. I apologize. Whew, I am sorry. But this is how I feel about it. You like, it's kind of like, you got to get away from telling me in paragraph form. You got to get away from it. You have to get away from that because it's like, I don't want to read it. I don't want to read it. And like I said with Beth's resume, if I get the feeling of overwhelm where I don't want to read it, I'm not gonna. And people who are hiring you are not gonna do it. They're just like, this takes too much effort. Okay, so then so here's the thing is that we read left to right, but since you have 2 columns, I'm going down the column and I don't think your format is, like, the sections are not in the right spot. Does that make sense? Like, your personal development, I might have put like down below, and then like your certifications, I get like, I appreciate that you have your certifications there. Creative industry, safety passport, safe pass. Okay, passport to production, screen skills, Ireland. Okay, COVID-19 compliance, safe sets international. Okay, so you have your, I don't know, this is taking up so much space. Like, first aid responder, manual hand. Okay, so you have like, that's good, but it shouldn't be at the top. Does that make sense? Like, your employment definitely has to move up. Okay, so TX controller, sports, production assistant, joyride. A lot of this stuff, I'm just like, what is going on? Like, I just can't decipher, like, joyride, is that the production company name? Is that the project name? So, project names, titles of movies, titles of short films, music video, whatever the thing is, that you put it all in caps. Everything's in caps, first of all. Like, a lot of things are in caps. You have to, like, make things look different because, like, first of all, you have, all right, there's a couple things here. So I'm going to talk about your format for a second. Sorry, Sean, I'm really tearing you apart. This is probably, I'm sorry. Okay. So let's start with the categories. Your personal profile. That is a different font than all the other category fonts, right? That's definitely different. I'm not tripping out. I'm taking a closer look. I'm pretty sure that is definitely different. It looks different to me. It could be the sizing, but also that's an issue too because your personal profile, that category sizing is way bigger than the other categories. So this is something where you have to be more consistent with your sizing and your font. At most, your resume should have 2 fonts at the most, right? If you get more than that, then it starts to be like, it's overwhelmed for the brain, right? It's like too much happening on the page. So there's that. Okay, so looking at professional development, every other category is centered except for that one. So that's either you have to decide whether your resume is going to be left aligned, center aligned, or right aligned. Or if you're splitting the page, it's like you have some things that are left aligned and then some things that are right aligned, right? So, okay, so professional development, you have to be consistent with your format. So if you're deciding to do center, make sure all the category headers are centered. And then you get in, and that's fine, where you go from professional development to pre-production, where then it becomes left aligned. That's fine. You don't have to make everything center, but your category headers can be a different format to make them stand out, to organize your resume, to split up the eyeballs, right? You want the eyeballs to go to different spots. Now, your resume does do that, but in almost like the wrong way, where it's like, I don't want to look at this box, so I'm going to go to the next box. Okay, so I don't know how I feel about the professional development section. I almost think it's totally unnecessary. So you can sum up your professional development in one sentence. I have experience with working with scripted format or formatted, scripted format from pre-production to post-production. And that's one sentence. Like, you don't need all that shit, because then you can be in the interview, or someone can ask you in an email like, hey, well, you have all stages of the game. Like, can you tell me something you've done in post-production, right? So you're telling me that you have all this experience, but I don't see any of those projects listed where you were in post-production. Is this just because you've trained in that? Because if it's only education, you can't really say that you have experience in it, right? So unless it was a dope ass, like it was like a feature film, like a feature student film that they like student film, like NYU or Columbia or something will have like student films, but they'll be features, So at that point, I'm like not calling it a student film. It's a feature film. Sorry. But you have to tell me the type of stuff you work on. Okay, so employment, yeah. So getting into the format of project titles, you want to make sure they're italicized and in quotations, because that tells me that's the name. Because let's be honest, there are some company names, project names that you're just like, what in the hell? And you want to make sure that you can decipher what's what. If you put it in quotes and it's italicized, I know right away that is the title of whatever project you worked on. Okay, so moving on to education. And another thing about the categories, and then you're bolding certain things, right? So it looks like broadcast production skills is stretched to the full width of the column, which also is breaking your format. So you have to figure out, like, you have to be consistent with your format here. And also, broadcast production skills is a little bigger than education, which you don't want that to happen. The biggest thing on your resume page should be the name, right? Your name, big as life, boom, got it. No mistaking whose resume this is. The second biggest thing is usually your category headers, right? Boom, got it. Okay, experience, skills, going down the line. And then you have then things start to pop out like positions. And then then you go into bulleted responsibilities if you need them. I don't know. Sometimes you don't need them. Sometimes you will. It depends, right? Like I said with, whose resume was it? Michael's resume, right? Sometimes you might have to add those, but sometimes you don't, right? So making sure that you have the right sizing is very, very important to make sure certain things are popping off the screen, popping off the page, because you want to make sure things pop out to the person that is hiring you, right? And right now, it's very hard for something to pop out at me. The wrong things are popping out. So yeah, definitely professional development. I don't know, that box really bothers me. Too much paragraph, get that out of there. Education, yeah, BA honors. I'm trying to think, I'm really looking at references. This is the other thing. You do not need references on your resume. Now, if we look back at Tony's resume, she doesn't have references here. Michael doesn't have references here. And for good reason. The reason why there's no references, because you don't need them. And why is that? Because if you're listing your bosses like Tony did, which you should, if you have set experience and you are a set PA, then you you are adding your bosses already. Those are already your references. And a friend of mine totally debated this with me. He said, and he is a first AD. Okay, so we've gotten into some serious debates. He's a DGA first AD, and he was like, yeah, but if I put my references down, that means I want them to call those people. And I said, but being the devil's advocate, if they're your reference, they're going to speak probably the highest that someone can of you, right? They're going to give you the positive, oh my God, this person's great, because you have picked them out to be a reference for you, right? Now, me, what I'm going to do is I'm going to see a name on there. Oh, wait, I know Bruno. Hey, Bruno. Hey, what's your opinion of Tony? I'm thinking about hiring her as a cast PA. I'm going to call whoever the fuck I want. Okay? And I'm going to call the person I know. I'm not going to call your references, okay? Like, think about it that way. Like, I'm not going to call the person you want me to call. I'm going to call someone that I know that will give me a very impartial, unbiased opinion of who you are as a worker on set. So just references, take them off. You do not need them unless they ask for them. And then you can email those references to them. They do not need to be on your resume, and you don't have to waste the space. You definitely don't have to waste the space. So that is it for my resume review. Sean, let me know if you have questions, because we definitely, I'm more than happy to help you with your resume. We should continue emailing for sure. You can totally send me another revised resume, and I'll take a look at it. Now, mind you, I usually charge for all these services, but I'm trying to give, because I feel like the more I can help everyone, the better I'm going to feel. That's all I'm saying. So, Sean, if you have any more questions, Beth, oh my God, Beth has hopped on to the live stream, and I'm so happy you're here. You hopped on, okay, I hopped on the stream late, going to rewatch your feedback on my resume. I wanted my resume to go the route of getting on an internship and career in cinematography. Was it evident in my resume? Whew! Okay. Okay, so Beth, I'm just because you're here. Okay, so the internship here for you, and just to go back to the chat, is, okay, getting an internship and career in cinematography. Okay, now that I know that, right, because I went back to just check what exactly your goal was, right? And I was like, I'm pretty sure there were some things, Beth, that I was a little worried about, and I was like, we kind of tore you apart, so definitely rewatch it. You were the second resume, if that helps. Maybe 20 minutes in, probably you'll find your resume, but... thank you so much, Michael. Thank you. I will check my PayPal. We'll see. Thank you so much for that. Let's see. Okay. If your main goal is to be an intern at this company, and it being the goal of cinematography, and, it doesn't, there's so many things I have. Okay. Your professional background definitely has to change, and I covered all of that before, so definitely check it out. But if you are trying to sell yourself as yes, you have a passion for cinematography, your work experience, move that down and move the independent projects up, because that's going to be this person is already interested. They're invested in their career. They're invested in being more and more into being a director of photography and being a cinematographer. It definitely has to come across stronger. Right? I felt like there was a little bit indecisiveness with your resume. So definitely go back, rewatch the live stream, the portion that I critiqued your resume, and then we'll talk about an email for sure. I will definitely take your questions. I will definitely help you with this, because Beth, when is your application due? Let's see. And then we can figure this out. Okay, so I'm going back to the chat. So thank you again, Michael. I have no idea how much it is. I will check my PayPal soon. Chris Wady? Oh my God, I am so bad with names. Oh my God. This was so amazing. Thank you. I learned a lot about structure. Been watching you for years, and now I'm pursuing becoming a writer's assistant. Yes! Thank you for watching. First of all, thank you for being a subscriber. I think you're a subscriber because you're here. I can't assume, because some people watch me, they don't subscribe. But if you watch me, please subscribe, because it helps me. I'm growing, and I feel so good that I'm growing and I'm helping. So thank you for watching. Yeah, oh my God. I think that the fact that you're saying you've watched for years makes me feel so warm and fuzzy, because it's I feel like I've grown, and and Chris, I'm pretty sure you're yo, Amber, your videos were rough in the beginning. I feel like I've grown so much. I've grown so much. Okay, if you were trying to become a writer's assistant, you can do it. I know you can. So I just know that I believe in you. Get into that writer's room. You got this. You totally got it. Michael, heading to class now. Thanks a bunch. You are very, very welcome. Thank you so much, Beth, for submitting your resume. Thank you for Tony, Sean, Michael, and Beth for submitting their resumes and being the guinea pigs on this live stream, and being brave enough to put their resume online, and being just the fact that you shared your resumes, and maybe all the things I tore you apart about and I nitpicked you about, helped probably so many more people. So thanks for volunteering your resume and letting me correct it online and live streaming it. So I have an older formatted one that I changed due to my new computer that I couldn't edit it the way I had it before. Do you mind if I send you that one? You can send me all the resumes you want, and if I have time, I will definitely look it over. Sean, definitely we're gonna be working on some things like 100%. It's been due. It just sucks that none of the companies had replied yet. I will certainly get back to you. Thanks for your help. Okay, so Beth, I do want to add one thing. If you're applying to internships and they're not getting back to you, it could be because your resume doesn't speak to them. Like that happens sometimes where they just can't get a clear picture of who you are. So hopefully we can get this into a spot where it's like they're going to give you that call, you know, they're going to give you that like interview or whatever. But do not give up. I just want everyone to know, like, there are definitely some hard times that are out. Like when you're pursuing anything in film, if it's film related or TV related, it is tough. It is so tough. And it's just like, don't give up no matter what. Just like 5 emails is not going to be enough. 10 emails is not gonna be, 10 applications is not gonna be enough. Like applying to 20 jobs is not gonna be enough, you know? Like you gotta like grind it out every day. Think about what you want. Envision yourself being in that position and you're gonna kill it. You're eventually gonna get there. Do not give up, because I swear to God, like I think I might have, when I first started just trying to get like one small in, I might have emailed like 1,000 people before I got any type of tidbit of information to help me go forward in my career. So like, don't give up. And if I just didn't send out a few more emails or a few more like trying to just like get people to like give me a job, like it wouldn't have worked out. So just don't give up, guys. Like if you want it bad enough, you're going to do it. Just keep at it. Like no matter what. I just don't want anyone to give up on their dreams. Like honestly, because who the fuck wants to work in an office at a 9 to 5 they fucking hate? Okay. Like everyone should aspire to do what they love to do in this world. Katie, I am subscribed. Yes, I've read the blog too, and you have grown so much. Perfect way to spend my lunch break. Oh my God, thanks for joining me on your lunch break. I'm so glad I do this. Trevor, thank you for doing this. Amber, it is extremely helpful. Do you know when the next time you'll do this will be? How about this? How about like next month we'll do one in November before Thanksgiving? Let's try that. Let's do Thanksgiving, you know, and then I'll put another post up and maybe like we can try this out again. I thank you guys so much for joining me in this live stream. Thank you so much. And we'll wait for the next one. Wait for the next live film resume review, hopefully next month. And that is it for now.